The Supreme Court hasn't looked at them yet, but I think they'll probably survive. Things like in a bus depot, at a bank, at an ATM machine, on the street itself, where traffic is flowing, you can regulate. But a good example, when I was asked specifically about, was can we keep these people out of Talleyrand Park? And the answer is probably a big no. There's court cases saying, well, the park is where we encourage discourse among our citizens, and that's where speech should be allowed to take place, even if you don't like the speech, unfortunately. And this would even go to someone had mentioned in an email about, there's a term for it right now, I forget the term, but the guy with the violin with the case at his feet.
Busking.
Busking, thank you, Joanne. That is now considered protected speech as well. So playing music is considered speech, and having the violin case where you put money in is probably something you can't do. A couple places in your ordinance requires registration for canvassing in different scenarios, and those are probably not valid. I was also asked about, well, what about having a registry so that citizens can call into the borough and have their name and address put on, so that people coming in to solicit or canvass know not to come to my house. That is really a gray area. There's nothing wrong with a person putting a little sign on their door saying solicitors are not welcome here, canvassers are not welcome here. But when the borough gets involved, now it may look like state regulation. So that's kind of risky. There's no case law that says you can't, so you might be okay, but I can't say that. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I think that your canvassing part of the ordinance does need some attention to bring it in line with Reed. So I recommend probably taking a look at that and cleaning that up a little bit. Let's go.
A couple of questions. It's mostly in the residential area. I know that there was about 2 years ago, maybe it was last fall, there was people who were doing political canvassing, and the police were called out, and they really scared the canvassers, because they're like most people, rather naive about what's going on, even though we had told them, they had been told in advance that political canvassing was protected speech, and there was some, and so I think we do need to do some training among our police to let them understand that. The other thing that I have a question about is, how does sometimes the public, they assume, like you said, soliciting and canvassing are one and the same. Any recommendations so that the public understands what the difference is?
Well, you certainly could do some sort of a public service announcement to try to explain it. It's a pretty complicated area, but that's certainly something you could, if it's a real problem, you could try to do.
Yeah. Having done solicitation, I generally, if I see a notice solicit, I've done canvassing, but I've seen no solicitation, that I just avoid the house, just to be safe. But I don't know if that's, everyone would do that and what that means. So that basically is stifling speech because of that.
Yes.
Looking at the definitions in our current ordinance, there is no definition for canvassing, there is for solicitation, so that would be an easy way to upgrade the ordinance to put a definition in there to distinguish between canvassing and solicitation.
That would be a good idea, a good add to the ordinance, I agree.
Would it be possible for you to send us some simple examples to could be added to that definition.
Joanne,
Yeah.
would you talk into the microphone?
Yeah, not to
please?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll move it much closer, thank you. Is it possible, with your knowledge, to give us several examples, like the busking one, that could be added to the definition so that when people see it, they would understand what we're talking about? Because I think it's just a simple definition, people may still not understand the difference.
Yeah, that's possible. I see a reason not to do that.
Are there other questions from council? So, I see this, I appreciate the response. I see recommendations in here. Is that what we're trying to accomplish here with this? So do we need a new draft with the recommendations from Mr. Stover? Do we need to rewrite this with the suggestions of the modifications that I saw in this response? Is that what we're looking to do here?
Yeah, so there is an item on the council regular agenda to authorize staff to prepare an amendment that would reflect Mr. Stover's comments, present it back to council once that draft is complete, and then, kind of have your review and direction.
Okay. So this is the time when you want to make any comments other than what we've already discussed with Mr. Stover. Are there any other comments or additions that you would like to be considered in this ordinance?
I have a question. Would you really suggest that we not have the do not knock option? We right now, you can ask the borough to put you on the list.
Oh, yes.
For the new do not knock. And so are you highly recommending that we do not do that?
As far as canvassing, absolutely. For soliciting, I think you could still have that. You could do more regulation on the commercial side. So, but for the canvassing, I would strongly recommend. There were several areas I cited where you have that I think need to be removed.
Okay. And then just clarifying the difference between canvassing and soliciting.
Yes.
So generally, if we follow the prescription under the Reed decision for content neutrality and what we are allowed to regulate, we'll be in good shape with our revised
Yeah.
ordinance. Okay.
That's the critical thing.
That's the, okay.
Any other questions? Well, Jeff, thank you for your opinion. Thank you for the information.
Sure.
We're letting you off easy tonight, so
I appreciate that. Okay.
we appreciate you being here.
Okay.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's all we have for the work session tonight on the agenda. So I'm going to adjourn the meeting. And we'll be adjourned at 7:30. Is there something I'm missing, council? Okay. Adjourn.
I didn't know how long we were going to, how bad we were going to beat them up.
What, should I turn on the camera?
I just think that it's a challenge to get building permits.
And have they presented anything else to the planning commission other than what we have in the packet tonight, the site plan?
And remember the list that you developed for them? I hadn't looked at that lately. And I wondered if they met. Are we checking the lives there, right up between us.
Haley used to do.
First of all, I'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance. Deb, could I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Brackville.
Here.
Ms. Clayton. Here. Ms. Dan. Here. Mr. Eden. Here. Mr. Johnson.
Present.
Ms. McKean. Here. Mr. Callen.
Here.
Ms. Chauncey Daisy. I'm here. Ms. Wilson. Present. Ms. Beckley is excused, and Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Additions to the council meeting agenda. Under Act 65, 2021, if a matter is not on the agenda, council may not take official action with the following exceptions. Council can act on matters relating to potential or real emergencies. Council may add a matter of agency business to its agenda through a majority vote. Council must state why the action is being added to the agenda. Council may vote to add an action item to the agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on. Public comment. Borough Council intends to take public comment related to motions that are on the floor after it has been duly made and seconded. The order of comments will be public comment and council comment, including proposed amendments by council members. If amendments are proposed to the original motion, the public will then only comment on the amendments or amendment before final votes are taken. You must be a Bellefonte resident, a nonprofit representative, business owner, or an official representative of another governmental agency. Speakers shall identify themselves by name and street, municipality, if outside of Bellefonte Borough. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Moving on to communications written, Mr. Borough.
Thank you, Mr. President. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration released its 2023 Speed Traffic Safety Facts, highlighting the continued impact of speeding on roadway safety nationwide. The report provides data on speeding-related traffic crashes, fatalities, and contributing factors to help inform safety initiatives and policy discussions. This is an information-only item and no council action is requested. The Bellefonte Community Easter Egg Hunt will be held at Talleyrand Park on Saturday, April 4th, 2026 at 1 p.m. Community members and family members are encouraged to attend this annual spring event. Again, this is an information item and no action is requested. 2026 Bellefonte Borough Spring Newsletter has been mailed to Borough residents and should be in your mailbox this week. Information only and no council action is again requested. Next, the Toys for Tots Commanders Award has been given to the Bellefonte Borough office. We were recognized by the United States Marine Corps Reserve with a Commander's Award for its outstanding support of the 2025 Center and Mifflin County Toys for Tots campaign. The award acknowledges the borough's contributions, helping provide toys and holiday support to children in need throughout the region. And I'll just read the citation for council and the public from the United States Marine Corps Reserve Commander's Award. The U.S. Marine Corps Reserve is proud to recognize the Bellefonte Borough Office for outstanding support of the 2025 Center and Mifflin County Toys for Tots Marine Toys for Tots program. Your generous contributions have enabled the Marine Corps to bring the joy of Christmas and send a message of hope to America's less fortunate children. Signed by David G. Bellin, Lieutenant General Commander of the Marine Forces Reserve, and E.L. Weller, Major, retired Coordinator, U.S. Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots program. Congratulations to all who participated.
Congratulations, Borough.
Center County Metropolitan Planning Organization will be conducting a borough sidewalk inventory throughout Bellefonte this spring. This inventory will document existing sidewalk conditions and help identify areas for future maintenance and accessibility improvements. Again, this is an informational only item and no action is requested. And finally, the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs will host a webinar on pedestrian safety and crosswalk studies at 12 p.m. on rescheduled. April 29th, thank you, Elizabeth. 2026. Anyone interested should contact Alyssa Doherty to register for the webinar council. And again, this is informational that includes the communications. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We're moving on to the consent agenda. Yes, Joanne?
Back to the CCMPO comment. I attended the CCMPO 101 training this afternoon, and they mentioned this item about the sidewalk survey. And I talked to Mr. Saylor afterwards, and he said that once the study is completed, they will be sending the reports to each of the municipalities so that we can use that information for future grant efforts.
Great, thank you, Joanne. Moving on to the consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and will be acted upon by a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of council, a member or members of council request specific items to be removed for separate action. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Randy. I'd like to pull the draft meeting minutes just for a simple modification, name only. If we can do it administratively and still approve these, that's fine with me.
And I would like to pull the land McGurney PC legal invoice because it's already been paid.
Okay. So first we'll vote on the three that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that we did not pull. Okay? So all those in favor of those, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Do we need a motion first?
Okay, Joanne, we'll do yours first.
I just want to pull the line before we go into the vote on it at all because it's already.
Yeah. Okay. So you pulled that, we need to vote on it.
No, we don't need to vote. I talked to Lori this afternoon.
I saw this is noted as been paid
It has
February
been paid.
17th or something like
Yeah,
that.
so we don't need to pay, we don't have to vote on it because there's nothing to vote on.
Okay, well, we could have just, good enough. Okay, for the minutes, just on page, paragraph, I think it's 5, yeah. Page 5, paragraph 3, conservation motion to a $30 fee. Just says flat $100 fee this event. Notice application fee. Mr. Brackbill commented he would personally cover the $100 fee for HDI if it did not pass the waiver. It did pass, but that was Mr. Johnson, myself, and also Ms. Dan offered to contribute to that. So I would like that minor correction in the minutes, please. So that's my, I guess you need to make a motion or approve that.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Randy. Any questions on that motion?
Well, just for clarity, we did, in the last meeting, we did vote to waive.
That's correct.
That's, okay.
Yes. I just wanted the minutes to reflect that Mr. Brackbill did not make that offer and that Johnson and Dan offered to supplement. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to reports. Mr. Mayor, we have a proclamation.
Yes. Pennsylvania 4-H Week Proclamation. Whereas 4-H is America's largest youth development organization, supporting nearly 6 million young people across the country. And whereas 4-H programs help youth become confident, independent, resilient, and compassionate leaders through hands-on learning and mentorship. And whereas in Pennsylvania, 4-H is delivered by the Penn State Cooperative Extension in rural areas, small towns, and cities across all 67 counties of the Commonwealth, reaching more than 77,000 youth aged 5 to 18. Whereas Pennsylvania 4-H youth are supported by dedicated staff members and more than 6,000 adult volunteers who engage and mentor youth in learning experiences and hands-on projects in areas such as animal science, civic engagement, STEM, and health and wellness. And whereas Pennsylvania 4-H Week highlights the positive impact of 4-H programs and recognizes the remarkable 4-H youth in Center County who contribute to their communities and develop skills that prepare them for future success. And whereas 4-H provides youth with opportunities for leadership development, career exploration, problem solving, community involvement, and the pursuit of passions that help build a stronger future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Buddy Johnson, Mayor of the Borough of Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, do hereby proclaim March 15th through the 21st, 2026 as Pennsylvania 4-H Week in Bellefonte Borough, and encourage all citizens to recognize and celebrate 4-H for its valuable service and continued commitment to empowering youth with all the skills and confidence needed for a lifetime of success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we have the police report. It's in your packet. Any questions for the chief? Any comments, Chief?
No, I have nothing additional to add. I hope everyone got a chance to review it. I think we noted last meeting about the Town and Gown magazine with that featured Detective Larkin, Sergeant Knight, which was a very nice article. And we also received our new body cameras, which we were trained in last month. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Parking is in your packet. Office of Community Affairs. Looking for a motion and second to conditionally approve the preliminary/final land development plan for stage at Talleyrand, subject to removal of the following county commons: cross easement and PennDOT highway occupancy permit, with the additional condition that a restroom solution be provided prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy. Thank you.
Second, please, Wilson.
Thank you. Do we have comments on this motion? From the public?
I'm here tonight to answer any questions you may have, and I'll be glad to give you a reminder of what the project's all about if you'd like to hear that. We were here in December giving you a concept plan presentation for the proposed stage at Talleyrand. I think you guys understand the particulars. The final land development plan was submitted in early February to the borough. We received comments from your engineer on February 28th, comments from the County Planning Commission on February 24th. We're in process of responding to those and any comments you folks may have. I would say they're fairly procedural and routine. A couple background issues, though, would be their recommendation that you consider effectuating cross easements amongst your various properties, which would be easements to yourself and from yourself, because you own about 3 different properties there that are being encroached upon by this project and other aspects. We have no recommendation on it. That can be done, but that could also be done at a later time. The usual recommendation stems from the concern that you may sell one of the properties and not the other. But you could certainly prepare those easements at that time. If you did wish to proceed, it's effectuation of agreements, declaration of easement agreements for recordation and citation on the land development plan. The second recommendation from the county is to secure highway occupancy permit for your existing south parking lot driveway approaches. And we did check with the department. There is no permit on record, which is not surprising. Those are old driveway approaches. They're literally the ones that were used by the Clasters business in the 60s. There's no requirement from the department to permit them. Why would you want to do that? I don't know. Housekeeping, perhaps. It's a standard county comment, mostly for private development activities where the agency having jurisdiction, you would want to know that it was validly permitted. It's a process. It would take several months to permit if you wish to pursue it. I can't tell you what that advantage would be, and that could be done now or later as well. So those are the two comments we wanted to mention to you tonight, stemming from the county.
Questions from council?
I was looking at the drawings.
John, you need to keep that microphone.
Is it here?
Yes.
Yes.
Are we maintaining monitoring wells for the gas station? Or will those wells be
There's no impact to the existing wells out front, and I believe there's one in the back that we haven't resolved how to handle that yet. It can remain at grade with I believe there's a lid on it now, if ongoing monitoring is required, if you want to maintain it.
previously we looked at, can you hear me now?
That's much better.
Oh, okay. So, it's not that bad, is it, Chief? He's a little crazy. When we were considering having multiple wells as an option for improving the big spring, one issue that was brought to us was the water level in those monitoring wells can be somewhere between 5 to 10 feet below ground level. What happens if we get water? Do we have adequate reserves in the funding to actually deal with the cleanup if we have water?
You mean water during excavation for the project?
Yeah.
Fairly shallow excavation footings, about 4 feet of cover, so maybe a 5-foot deep excavation, and some pipe runs that are about 4 feet deep. We did do exploratory test pits early in the process, did not find a high water table at that time. If it occurs, we would dewater the trenches or excavation during construction as required in order to complete the project. Yes.
Thank you. I believe when we were talking about this a while ago, that PennDOT decided we didn't need to follow through with the highway option.
No, that hasn't changed. That's a true statement. The original concept involved impact to the driveways, in which case they would have to have been formally permitted. You propose no impact to those driveway approaches, so it's not a requirement of the Department of Transportation. Sure.
When you were talking about the driveway permitting, is that, and you said it would take a couple months, but it could be done now or as the project proceeds?
Or years from now. I would say your only reason to do that, a requirement would be if you touch those driveways. If you wanted to change them, alter them, widen them, move them, you must permit them. Otherwise, it's a residual driveway that's been there for a long, long time, and there are plenty of them that don't have a formal permit on record. Sure.
I know we're approving the land development plan, but I still have concerns about sharing a restroom with the Pelican snow cone building. I think, is everybody on council aware of what's being proposed in the future? That is isolating the restroom in the Pelican building It's required by code to have a public restroom within 500 feet of the stage. There is none there. So they've asked that the borough permit them to isolate the men's and women's room at the Pelican Snow Cone building for access to the public, to meet the requirement of the 500 feet. I think that in years to come may limit who may lease that building in the future if the new leasee decides that that's not adequate or that that's not agreeable to lease the building. I think it constrains some of the leasees that could possibly be in there. I know it isn't part of this process, the land development, but I think it's something that's really important that is addressed.
Yes, the existing park restrooms are about 1,000 feet away from the proposed stage at the train station. The building code requires 500 feet proximity. We explored options with the Department of Environmental Resources and also with the Center Region Code Office. The Department of Environmental Protection is open and willing to allow the use of temporary facilities, porta-johns, and there's been a place provided on the plan for those, men's and women, one handicapped accessible. But the code doesn't recognize those because they're temporary. You must have a permanent facility proximate. So the interim proposal, and I say interim because I've heard interest expressed in someday having permanent facilities at this end of the park. The interim proposal would be to utilize the existing snow cone building, providing an accessible route from the stage and the seating area to that building, which is possible, and then using an external door access way during events. And then the Friends of Talleyrand would be responsible for cleaning the facility after each event. So you'd have 2 locations for restroom facilities in the park.
What I'm going to do is ask the facilities and park committee to have a look at this, to make recommendations to council and to your organization of how the problem is going to be solved. You know, I guess for special events, you'll bring in the porta-johns, because I don't think one male and one female restroom would accommodate whatever crowds you're predicting there. I don't know what, I think it's like 50 or more for a certain number of hours. You have to provide so many restrooms. And between 50 and 100 is something else. And one men's room and one women's room isn't going to accommodate that.
We agree, and that's why we propose to also utilize the temporary facilities. They'll be put in place at the beginning of every use season. Let's call that April, and taken out at the end of the season. Let's call that around Thanksgiving. And thus the temporary.
We had a checklist for the Talleyrand stage folks that we created months ago that I'd like for the committee to take a look at along and make sure they're meeting those checklist items and make them aware of them. Any other comments?
I did have a question about the use of the Pelican building. Are those restrooms going to be, just to clarify, going to be blocked off from use of anybody at the Pelican if they were visiting the Pelican facility or the business? Would customers be able to use those restrooms also?
That's correct.
So that there would be an access from the outside for people attending an event, but there would also be access from the inside for people that were using the Pelican, purchasing at the Pelican building.
That's correct.
And if I could add to that response as well, Wilson, I think the other component of that would be, if this were the route council were interested in going, would be to provide a door access on the interior of the Pelican that can be locked, so that in the event that the stage is hosting an event but the Pelican is closed, you could prevent people from getting to the inside of that space.
Yes, Joy.
I had understood this issuance of a certificate of occupancy. There's been some discussion prior to this meeting about maybe allowing porta potties temporarily and so that they can move ahead with the project and kind of setting a time limit to get something more permanent. Is that part
Yeah,
of
we
this?
did that. We did discuss that. Yeah. As long as Center Region Code's okay with that. Wasn't that part of our discussion?
The proposal is the renovation of the snow cone building would parallel this stage construction project and be available as a condition of occupancy, as well as the temporary facility. So
I personally have a problem with using a facility that's used for food to have other people coming inside and use the facility, particularly if for some reason the cleanup afterwards isn't complete and forces the food handlers to clean up the bathrooms. That's my concern.
Those are, I understand your concern, and I appreciate it, I agree. Those are items that we need to work out. That scares me a little bit, how that's going to be resolved. I think it can be managed somehow.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing an additional one with some kind of time limit that allows for porta potties until we can get a permanent solution that doesn't involve Pelican.
We were very excited and happy when Pelican took over that space. Have they been updated on this, or would it be a surprise that, a bunch more people, have they had any knowledge of this plan out of respect for them?
Yes, we've spoken to the tenant, just to get her concerns, if she had any concerns about making that space accessible from the exterior of the building. Her only objection that she raised was in those eventualities that the president noted, where there would be an event the night prior, and then she would be open for business the following morning. She wanted some assurance that she wouldn't be expected to maintain and clean up those facilities, as well as for just normal use. So we've raised that with the Stage and Talleyrand Committee. They're aware of that concern. The expectation would be that as events are permitted, we handle the assurance that there will be a service to come in and clean that restroom prior to its occupancy. Other than that, as long as we can secure the interior of the business so that the public can't have access to the space that she uses when she's not open for business, she was okay with what was proposed. And with regard to Ms. Tostobase's question, I have asked Center Region Code, but I've not yet gotten a response about how long they might allow a certificate of occupancy to be issued with temporary restroom facilities if there is a short-term fix that would allow avoiding the Pelican to be used for those permanent restrooms. Perhaps they would be agreeable to giving the certificate for whatever that duration is, but I've not gotten a response yet, so I'm not certain if they would permit that CFO to be issued before that permanent solution was identified. As a supplement to a permanent restroom, as Mr. Pratt pointed out, they can do that. They can bring in extra porta-johns to accommodate the additional public that will be using the space. But as far as I know, the expectation of the code agency is going to be that those permanent facilities be installed and accessible at the time of the issuance of the certificate of occupancy.
Randy, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm not real happy about what we're talking about. I don't think those restrooms that are at the Pelican Building are that large. I haven't been in there for a long time, but I'm pretty sure there's not much room. There's probably one toilet in each one. And to put the issues with Pelican, that I don't feel like I want to do that. I think they would get screwed, honestly. because we don't know when you guys are going to get that stuff in. That's my view. We'll have to look at it, but I just don't agree with what we're talking about.
Well, how it was created was the original, as I understand it, if I'm wrong, let me know. The preliminary sketches or drawings showed restrooms that Center Region Code had, and they were not updated. When the new plans arrived, they noticed the restrooms were gone. And this road, that's when the red flag occurred, that there were no restrooms within 500 feet of the stage. Is that accurate?
Well, couple that with the, always in the background, the notion of using what I'll call the temporary facilities, the porta-johns, and the technical distinction between those. They must be temporary in order to meet state requirements versus a permanent restroom facility with a foundation, because the proposed structure is a permanent structure. If this were a tent instead of a permanent structure, it would be a different conversation. We could service it with the temporary porta-john facilities exclusively.
So I agree with you, Randy. My concern is it's fine today, it's fine for the lease agreement with Pelican, but it sort of handcuffs the borough of future leasees of the property, which is stressful for me. But let's see where we can work out.
Is there some kind of compromise to this condition that says, and that within, say, 1 year of the occupancy permit, permanent restroom facilities are provided, assuming that code enforcement is agreeable with that? Could we make it a little more specific to kind of
Well, this recommendation is coming from the planning commission. This is their recommendation, and that's what we're voting on. So any amendment, any discussion about that would have to go to the planning commission.
Joanne, they've met all of the planning requirements. Okay, this is another discussion. So
Well, so if I could just maybe define some pronouns. They is us, so I mean, we are they, right? We are. That's that for a unifying statement. So I think council certainly could say that, really whatever you'd like in terms of consideration of this land development plan, you're not necessarily shackled by what you find in your subdivision and development regulations, as you might be if it was a private developer on a privately owned tract, and you would be sort of obligated to either approve or cite the deficiencies if you were denying the approval of a land development plan. So in this case, if you were comfortable with, the Pelican as a temporary solution to allow for the occupancy because there's some time sensitivity about some of the funding of this project, then you could permit that, but you could also direct the staff to work with the Talent Grant Committee and other interests that may be, involved in that park development on finding a more permanent brick and mortar, so to speak, solution. Where that might be on site is something that we have to explore a little bit. What makes the most sense to tie into the sewer system? Are there alternatives that are considered permanent restrooms by building code, but don't necessarily require that connection to the sewer system, perhaps a holding tank or some other solution that you find in places that don't have sewer service? So we can continue to evaluate those other options if you were comfortable with conditional approval of the plan as presented, but there's really nothing that would, obligate you to one solution or another because it's a borough owned parcel.
That's kind of what I was trying to get, so if that could be put into a form of an amended motion to say that we can use Pelican temporarily with the porta potties, but look for a permanent solution, and I don't know if we put the time in or not.
I think it's in the motion as it stands now with the And with the additional condition that restroom solutions be provided prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. I think it's there. And that's why I would like to direct it to the Parks Facilities Committee to meet and discuss it, bring back recommendations. We need to meet with Tellering Stage folks and Pelican Building folks. That's what we need to do.
I can do that.
You can do what?
I'm the chair of the Parks Committee, and I'm who directing this to.
Facilities.
Is that what you're referring to?
But you're welcome.
Yeah, we can do that, but we won't be meeting until towards the end of April. We just had a Parks meeting with that.
Well, that's fine. I don't think that would delay us approving the land development plan, as long as that requirement is in our motion. I think it is. Does anybody disagree with that? Is there more discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
One no. Thank you. Moving on.
Thank you.
David, do you have any report you'd like to share with the council?
Yes, the report is in your packet, but I do want to note one thing that's not in your packet, which is that the underground work for the signalized intersection at Zion and Parkview has begun, or will begin next week. Actually, will begin this week, said last week. We're starting, the contractor is starting coring the roadway to find utilities before they do their boring that they need to do for the underground conduit wiring. They should be doing that work for approximately 3 weeks to get all that underground site work completed, and the construction of this signal will follow once the material is procured this summer. That concludes my report. Unless there's any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Pablo? Moving on to environmental and parks, Joanne.
The report is in your packet. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them.
Any questions for Joanne? Thank you, Joanne. Finance and Administrative Committee, Mr. Eaton, you have a verbal report.
Well, we will be having our next meeting tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Once we have the minutes from that meeting approved, we will have them for the next council.
Great, thank you. Ordinance Ad Hoc Committee.
That report for January, February, and March is in your packet. It's basically the rinse and repeat on the salary. We've been working on that for 3 months.
Any questions for Joanne? Streets, Infrastructure, and Public Works Committee, Mr. Bracco.
February report is dead, and 2026, February.
Any questions for Mr. Bracco? Okay. That should do it. Yes.
Are you ready? Are you administrative now, or what?
Yeah.
Okay. Civil Service, we had no meetings. Spring Creek Watershed Commission is Wednesday night. I'm sorry, Spring Creek Watershed minutes are in the packet. Bellefonte Fire Department will not meet until 3/26, which is this coming Thursday. And then Center Region Code, they canceled their meeting, so that was that.
Any questions for Randy? Thank you, Randy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll move on unless there's questions, other questions about these administrative liaison. Yes, Joe.
Just a real quick, on the Public Transit Task Force Committee, we received the working draft of the long-term transit development plan. It will be available after March 19th.
Okay. I think evidently about a planning meeting coming up, don't you?
March 19th.
Yeah. Great. paving project will be open publicly, acknowledged. A motion and second to authorize borough staff to review the submitted bids in detail for completeness, compliance with bid specifications, and contractor qualifications. Staff will evaluate the proposals and proceed with approving and selecting the lowest responsible and responsive bidder in accordance with the Borough Code and project requirements. Staff will coordinate contract execution and scheduling following the bid review. I'd just like to add, if staff would meet with the streets and facilities guys, to keep them in the loop on that process, please.
I'll make that motion, E.
Second, Dan.
Thank you.
We do want to take a vote first?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Motion carries. Thanks,
I've done this before, so sorry. So make sure I'm not, well, I don't mess this up. Yes, it is. We did receive two bids, one from HRI Inc., West College Avenue, State College. Total amount is $174,975.40. Did you get that, Alyssa? 174,975.4. Second proposal is from Big Rock Paving of Mount Wolf, Pennsylvania. That total amount is for $180,631.00, 180,631.00. We will review the bids for completeness of submittal, meet with the Streets Committee for their review and concurrence on a recommendation for award, and present back to Borough Council on April 6th for the contract to be awarded for the paving projects in 2026.
Great, thank you, David. Next item, solicitation ordinance amendment, motion and second to authorize staff to prepare an amendment to the borough solicitation ordinance based on the comments and direction provided during the work session. Staff will draft the proposed revisions for council's review and consideration at a future meeting.
So
Motion. Thank you, Joanne.
Second,
Thank
Brackville.
you, Randy. Comments?
Will this go back to the solicitor before coming back to us or the other way around?
David, what do you think? I don't know if that's necessary.
Right, I would suggest that council be given an opportunity to review, and if the verbiage is where you want it, and you want, if you would like Solicitor Stover to take another look at it for legal compliance before the public hearing, we can arrange that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next one, resolutions of Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs, PSAB. Motion and second to submit resolution number 2026-01 and resolution number 2026-02 to the PSAB Resolutions Committee. That information is in your packet. Hopefully read all through them. Joanne made the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Dan.
Thank you, Barb. Is there discussion on these motions or recommendations? We talked about this last meeting. It's in your packet.
support the inclusion of the loop concept, the tax reduction for the older residents. It's just not viable. That if I look up and down my street, that's like half of everybody or more gets a tax cut. That means everybody younger has to pay a tax increase. So I'm not thinking that's too fair. And then on the new proposals, the proposal to get in to basically say that we're going to tell PennDOT how to classify motor vehicles that are going to be on the road. That's PennDOT's job. They have a basis for that. I can't find anywhere in the PADCED documents or websites talking about e-bikes. I can find it in DCNR talking about e-bikes. But if you bring vehicles onto the public road at a lower standard of specification than other vehicles, and that don't have lighting, don't have turn signals, and also don't have braking requirements that other powered vehicles of a similar speed range have. You're not doing a service for either the people riding those vehicles or the other users of the roadways. So, yeah, I can't support that.
Other comments? Yes, Bob.
I do support these. And I believe in the past, this is not the final way these are worded. It's to get them moving through the government. So a lot of times they do change a little bit, but I think it's important that we get all of these, we support these through PSAP. That's all this is saying.
Any other comments?
Just a real quickie, the table this evening is a simplified table showing what the Class 1, Class 2, Class 3 e-bikes are and where around the country this is done. And I actually received something from Gina this afternoon showing that PennDOT uses the 3 classes for the purposes of crash reporting. They don't use it for anything else. So right now at the state level, we've got confusion about what is used when. This might help clear it up.
Being an e-bike purchaser, pedal assist, that was explained to me during the purchasing process, all the different 1, 2, and 3 levels. So they are trying to educate people when they're selling the pedal assisted bikes. Are we ready for a vote, or is there more comments? Sure.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, ma'am. Deb, can you do that?
Mr. Brackwell?
Yes.
Ms. Clean? Yes. Ms. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Eden? No. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. McKeon? No. Ms. Tosti Basie?
Yes.
And Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
That's 6-3 passes.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's 7-2.
Yeah,
It is. Yep.
we good?
Yep.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Council. Next item. Let's see. Do that one. Spring Creek Watershed Commission update. Kevin Abbey will provide an update on matters related to Spring Creek Watershed Commission. Council may take action based on the presentation. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening. Thank you. Elise, I'm sorry.
We'll trade.
We haven't practiced our dancing routine
No, we
yet.
haven't.
So, thank you for allowing us to come and present. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kevin Abbey. I'm a Ferguson Township resident, and in the Watershed Commission, as it is organized, I'm appointed by the Ferguson Township Board of Supervisors as their alternate. And the Watershed Commission is represented by an elected official and an alternate, in some cases a staff member, in some cases another elected official, throughout the Spring Creek watershed. And our purpose for being here this evening has to do with the Rockview lands that are now in play, is probably the best way to put it, since the Department of Corrections has officially closed Rockview. The employees are reassigned and the prisoners are relocated, and since it's been over a year now since the Department of Corrections indicated their intent to close Rockview, and the Watershed Commission, our goal is to representing member municipalities like you. The others include the 5 members of, well, 6 if you include Half Moon Township. That's State College Borough, College Township, Ferguson, Patton, Harris, and Half Moon in the upper part of the watershed. In the lower section of the watershed, that includes Benner Township, Bellefonte, Spring Township, Potter, and Walker. And at the announcement of the intent to close the prison, which many of you probably understand has been there now for, 115 years? The Watershed Commission, our mission is to look at and coordinate amongst our membership on your behalf things that will support and help protect that resource that we have. And I might mention, I'm really fortunate this evening, Elise Johnson is here, who's our watershed coordinator. Randy is the elected chair, Mr. Brackbill, of the Watershed Commission. John Eaton is heavily involved with the Watershed Commission as the chair of our Atlas Committee. And the Atlas Committee has for years taken the responsibility with pleasure to provide educational materials that help people understand Spring Creek and how and why it's important and what makes it unique. So that by way of background, we're here this evening and we will be going to member municipalities in public meetings throughout the remainder of this month and into next month on the subject of a stakeholder letter that was developed by conservation groups throughout the watershed that would request the governor look to the future and be transparent in how the Rockview lands might be handled. This was a letter that was developed amongst organizations like Clearwater Conservancy, Mount Nittany Conservancy, Trout Unlimited, the Center County Senior Pennsylvania Environmental Corps, which many of you may know. Right, Center County Ag Land Trust, the Farm Bureau. Did I mention Mount Nittany Conservancy?
We need a 3-minute presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm just reminding.
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
We do ask for 3 minutes.
Okay.
And we
Okay.
do have your letter in our packet.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Maybe beside you has 3 minutes as well, but go ahead.
Okay, I'll wrap up so that we can actually discuss, or you can give us your feedback. When this letter came to the attention of the Executive Committee of the Watershed Commission, I think there was, well, I don't think, there was a consensus that we take this to the full commission with the idea of requesting the authority to be a signatory to the letter, okay? And when that happened, of course, we made it available to everyone, and there were concerns amongst municipal staff, two managers in particular, that wanted us to get and poll the member municipalities before we went forward with that. The last thing I would say, I mentioned that we're going to be doing these meetings. One has been completed to date. That was March 2nd in Benner Township, and they looked at this letter. Elise was there, and she can comment on that if necessary, but they acted to support the commission signing and sending that letter. So thank you for...
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Are there questions for Kevin? Okay. Any other comments?
I would just say, having, sat on the sidelines for a lot of these meetings and been engaged in a lot of these conversations, it's great to see the Watershed Commission, fulfill its mission of building consensus among multiple member municipalities. It's been a really beautiful process, and I think the point of this letter is to spark a conversation that has transparency and accountability, and I think that we're on a great path to do so.
Any other questions?
Do we actually have a copy of that letter in our packet?
Yes, it's in a zip file.
It was in a separate one.
Yeah, it came with the police one, and it says Rockview on it.
Okay.
It was a little, I was confused as well when I saw Rockview and not Spring Creek.
Is it an email?
It is. It's with the, there are three of them together. Melissa, help me out on that.
It was an email that I sent out that says confidential, and then
It was sent.
there was 3
February 14th,
documents.
Like 10:49 a.m. Or March, I'm sorry. Yes, John.
Okay, I'm going to let Coach Kevin.
3 minutes.
I'm going to Coach Kevin for some answers. Now, Kevin, when the decision on the disposition of the property, it doesn't go back to the legislature.
Right.
The decision on the
Right.
distribution ends up just being with the government.
Right. It gets transferred from the Department of Corrections to the Department of General Services, and all under the rubric of the governor and the executive branch, yes. That's why the authors of this letter felt it appropriate to send it to the governor.
So this is our opportunity to get the community input to that process. And the other issue is not just the stream, it's also groundwater. Probably not our groundwater for Big Spring, but the groundwater to the south side. So we're thinking about what happens with not only the stream, but also the water that's going to fall on that land that previously had been farmland. So I would encourage the members of the council to support the letter. It's basically just saying, look, we're interested, please hear us. So that's all.
Any other questions or comments before I call the vote? Yes, David.
So if it's conveyed to the Department of General Services, my understanding is that puts it back in the hands of the legislator, and there has to be legislative action to release those land holdings. That's not true?
No.
So it's
No.
entirely the governor's purview to authorize the disposition of that land?
Yes.
Different from
Well, you'll recall back now, 12 years ago, when the 1,800 acres north of I-99 was disposed of, or proposed to be disposed, by then Governor Rendell, members of the legislature interacted with the governor, and not liking the way that it sounded like it could go, got together and wrote legislation that then directed how it would be done. But as it stands right now, it's a executive branch function to manage that property. Yeah.
Thanks, David. Good question. Any other questions before I call the vote?
We haven't had the motion yet, have we?
The motion, okay, well, I'm looking for a vote. Sorry about that.
I'll make that motion, Dan.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Claudia.
To clarify what is the motion?
The motion is
To support the submission of the letter? Okay, that's what I think.
Can we have a roll call vote, please? Thank you. Mr. Bracknell?
Yes.
Ms. Cleaton? Yes. Ms. Dan? Yes. Mr. Eaton?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. McKean?
Yes.
Ms. Tosti-Basil?
Yes.
And Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Next item. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good luck. The other townships and boroughs. Appointment of voting delegate and alternate to represent the Bellefonte, the borough at the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs Annual Conference. The appointing voting delegate will participate in the election of officers and voting on proposed resolutions and policies during the conference. Currently, Deb Clayton, Barbara Dan, Joy Tossel-Basie, and Claudia Wilson are registered to attend the conference. I'm looking for some suggestions of appointing one as our delegate and one as an alternate. Do we have any volunteers? Yes, John?
Well, you asked for a volunteer, so.
Okay. Is that a volunteer or a comment?
That's a volunteer.
Okay. Others? Okay. Works for me. Yes. So is there any comments on those two delegates suggested? That would be Joanne as the delegate, Barbara Dan as the alternate. So that's just something I assign, isn't it? Or do we have to vote?
There's typically a resolution that needs to be submitted, so it should be voted on.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? Okay, I need a motion.
And I'll second it.
Shauna, thank you. Thank you, Claudia. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for volunteering with that. Okay, approval of resolution number 2026-03, adopting the police department's updated policies. Motion and second to approve resolution number 2026-03, adopting the police department's updated policy for body-worn cameras.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John.
I'll second it,
Thank you,
Dan.
Barb. Discussion? Questions? It's in your packet. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Okay, ordinance amendment to Chapter 88, Article 1, Borough Manager. A motion and a second to advertisement of the public hearing and to consider enactment of the amended ordinance on the April 6, 2026 meeting. That's in your packet. I think it's like the last page.
Second,
Thank
Dan.
you, Joanne. Thank you, Barb. Discussion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just a real quickie, when you put it out for advertisement, and for the public's sake, it might be nice to put a red line version just so they can see what's changed.
Sure, that would be fine. I think Alyssa's made a note of that. Good. Thanks, Alyssa. Thanks. Public Comment period is for oral comments regarding items not listed on this meeting's agenda. Speakers shall identify themselves by name, street, municipality, if outside of the borough of Bellefonte. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Any comments from the public? Yes, sir. Dave? Yes, please.
Just thank you, sir. For those who don't know me, my name is Jacob Michael. I'm a local government and development reporter with the Center Daily Times, and I am also a borough resident. I live at 221 East Bishop Street, just up the hill from the Catholic Church and the Undines. I'm coming here tonight for 2 reasons. One, for the Talleyrand stage, of course, big news, and then the other would be maybe to get some feedback from you on some recent updates that I heard on the Bellefonte waterfront project. So for background, I have been getting some emails by some constituents in the area who have been asking me, since I've covered it before, like what some updates to the timeline might look like and so on and so forth. I know that I talked with Manager Probuka at the last meeting about this, and he shared with me some updates. I also reached out to the developer, Tom Songer, and he shared with me that he expects bids to go out for the project in the next 30 days, and he expects construction on the project to begin somewhere in the July to August timeframe and last for about 14 months for the first phase. I'm just here to try to get some comments from some officials on those updates, what you all think about the plan as it currently stands, so on and so forth. I'm probably going to be writing a story about it at some point in the very near future. I was wondering if any of you would like to contribute any comments or thoughts on the project as a whole or the updates that I just shared. And that's what I got.
We typically don't interact the oral comments, but I didn't hear the dates clearly that you...
Yeah, no problem. I understand. I'm a fast talker. So last Thursday, I reached out to Songer, and he told me, I'll give you the 3 figures. I forgot to bring one up. He's hoping to get like local lending institutions funding secured within the next 30 to 45 days. He's looking to get bids out on the project in the next 30 days, and he is looking to get construction for the project started somewhere around the July to August timeframe. And then for completion of the first phase, which I believe would be the hotel, parking garage, and one other important thing that I'm not remembering right now, in about 14 months for the total phase.
He's conveyed to you July, August of 2026, right?
That is what he told me in the email that I received.
Just clarify.
That's what I can pull up the email if you'd like. Yeah. I say that's what he told me. He expects it to start somewhere around July, August. He did not give me an exact date. That was just the general time frame that he shared with me.
You've got to run for office. I mean, you've got to get on our committees. This is the most progress we've heard in a long time, so that's good news. Thank you very much.
No problem. And about running for office, I have attended enough township meetings around the area to deter me from doing that at this point in my life. With that being said, though, I appreciate the work y'all do, and thank you very much for sharing that with me.
Thank you for the comments.
No problem.
I have one comment.
Did I hear?
Yes, sir.
Did I hear hotel?
I heard that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Randy.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on what this gentleman offered us.
Any other comments before I start our comments for good of the order? John, do you have any comments?
Not this month, or not this week.
I would like to remind Borough residents to keep their dogs leashed when they're walking them during the day and in the evening. I've seen dogs unleashed in West Church Lane during the day, and I've seen dogs under the guise of night at the waterfront. 2 dogs actually charged us last week. I don't think that they were going to attack, but mine was. So just a reminder, that is an ordinance, and we would all appreciate to not be charged in the middle of the night while we're out walking our dog. Thank you.
Claudia,
No, I don't have anything to share tonight.
Barbara,
I have two things. First one, I've been emailing back and forth with Gina Thompson questioning the occupancy permit for this room. She did get back to me and said that it was determined that the occupancy limit to be 227 people. So I thought that was pretty good information, and I think you were copied on that also. My other thing is the Borough Authority. I don't know if you had said you would be bringing some more information at some point when I asked some questions the last time. I'm very concerned about this. I think there's, the residents would like to know and have a little bit more transparency and accountability with the authority. And one of my questions for tonight is, has the authority ever had CNET record the meetings?
not since I've been on the authority.
Okay. I'm thinking that we may want to look into that. I know that the transcriptionist has some difficulty hearing at the authority meeting, so we don't always know who made the motions, how the votes went, those types of things. I think that that's very important for this. It also would give residents a chance to watch those meetings and perhaps maybe come to some of the meetings with some concerns or support for that. So I'm asking those things to possibly be considered. Also, there are some really interesting things going on with the authority that I would like to know more about, and I'm sure other residents and council would too. We already talked about the rate increases, and I know you're working on that at this point.
I can give that report right now.
Okay, if you'll just give me another minute, then if that's all right. Also, the Big Spring enhancements have been talked about at that meeting. I think that would be really interesting, and I know that the public is interested in that. And as council, I think we would like updates on that too. I also saw in one of the, I think it was, I don't remember the dates on it, but it was about the home service line warranty program. I don't have any information on that, but I know it was discussed, and then it was decided not to go forward with that. I think those are all interesting things and things that we as a community care about. And so those are some of my ideas. I'm hoping that maybe we can work something out.
Okay. David?
Thank you. Just to quickly review the draft community development block grant application preparation schedule for 2026. We received some dates from our grant manager at CEDACOG, Leslie Hosterman. The proposed public hearing, posting, and publication date is April 22nd of this year. First public hearing is tentatively scheduled for May 18th in this room, May 18th, 2026. Project selection on July 6th, and that's done at the council meeting that evening. And the Center County project selection will take place on July 21st at the Willow Bank Building at 420 Home Street at 10 a.m. Final public hearing, publication date is slated for August 12th for the borough, and for the final public hearing of the county on August 27th. The culmination of this years-long process will end on September 15th of this year with the approval of the resolution by Borough Council to submit to Center County, and the application submission on October 30th of this year. So I can share those dates with council in writing. The estimated allocation to Bellefonte Borough from 2025 fiscal year estimate is $115,442. Thank you.
Zach?
I do have one thing. There will be a protest at the Bellefonte Courthouse this Wednesday, March 18th at 7 p.m. In regards to ICE encroachment into the community in general. and the alleged detainment of an individual at the courthouse last week in specific. This is in part organized by the People's Defense Front of Northern Appalachia and the Student Committee for Defense and Solidarity. I think it'd be nice to see some community members come out and show their support for their neighbors and renew their commitment to protecting them against any and all illegal action or intimidation.
Yeah. Just a quick reminder, when I went to the CCMPO, Center County Metropolitan Planning Organization training, they mentioned the grant workshop that's being held on March 30th. I have the flyer here. If anybody is interested, there's a QR code down at the bottom you can link to register for it, but you have to register in advance. It's a 3-hour training from 6 to 9 p.m. on March 30th.
Randy, not really had anything, but I'd like to see the email that Dylan had in the audience. If we didn't, which one?
The Songer.
The Songer one, the Songer one.
Oh, the Songer email
Yeah.
from,
Gentleman sitting back here in a chair, straight ahead of you.
well, you can ask him to send that to you. Maybe
I think the whole council should get it. We're sitting here in our freaking,
That's, if he wants to send it, that's fine, but if you'd like a copy, you can ask for it.
we should be told what's going on. We're not getting it.
I agree with you, Randy. It was great news and good news so far. I think we have. Go ahead.
I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow for an update on the waterfront project. My plan is to brief council at the conclusion of that.
Thank you, Dave. Anything else, Randy? Mayor?
I second that dogs within the borough should be on leash, so thank you for bringing that to the public's attention. As the weather gets nicer here very soon, please enjoy our beautiful community and dispose of trash properly and help to keep our community nice and clean. Thank you.
Deb?
Nothing this evening.
Okay, to answer your question of the authority, we had an almost 75% increase in electric costs this year. As a homeowner, I think each and every one of you have seen a tremendous electric bill. That has burdened the wastewater treatment plant. We had no alternative except to raise fees. We were hit with, at first, an $800,000 deficit. John Eaton and David Perbolka worked on that and came up with, we got it down to, I think, about 400,000. 500,000 now. With the $25 per quarter increase, it still does not cover the deficit. So that, along with Rockview shutting down, which decreased our flow, has caused the deficit. And the only way that we could resolve that is by passing that expense on to our users. We're still working on trying to make that better, hoping that we can do something to make it more equitable between all the users of the plant. So that's why the cost has increased. Mr. Eaton is on the authority. Do you have anything to add to that comment?
No, I mean, it was $18 of that $18.55 of that increase was the electricity. The remainder of that increase is due to the estimate of what we figure we're going to lose in service due to the closure of Rockview. So as we get more information on that, we're hoping that we can trim those numbers. But right now, with the as you said, Doug, with the $25 increase, increase, that still left us 150-some thousand in deficit. So the 25 didn't bring us into the black, we're still in the red, so.
Yes, and we're not willing to pull money from the water fund to support the wastewater treatment plant. That's not how it's supposed to work. So that's why I'm not happy about it. The authority isn't happy about it. We have no choice at this point. The other items you asked about, we can put on the agenda, ask it to be put on the agenda, and ask for their consideration. The meetings are the first Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. They are open to the public. And the minutes are published. So, public is welcome to attend. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Brockville.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.